Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to another exciting edition of Free Advice Friday. Looking forward to spending some time with you today and having the opportunity to answer your voiceover business and marketing questions. Last weekend, I was not able to do the live stream, and that is because I was speaking at Evocation. And what an incredible opportunity that was. And I'm so grateful to Karin and Jamie, both for the invitation, but then also for trusting me to do Evocation and to be the keynote. I have always had this belief, this impression that people who do keynotes are a big deal. They are the cream of the crop, the best of the best. In the voiceover industry, it's always A-list voice actors. And so when they asked me to come and do the keynote, I have to tell you straight up, I did not feel even remotely worthy to have that opportunity, but I'm grateful that they gave it to me. I also had the opportunity then on the Saturday morning to do a session. And the session that I did was called How to Become a VOpreneur. Do the thing. And replays are available, by the way. So if you would like to purchase a ticket for Evocation, watch the keynote, which I'll tell you straight up, you will see a side of Marc Scott in that keynote that you did not know existed. And I think it caught a lot of people off guard. It caught me off guard. I think I saw a side of myself that I wasn't fully aware existed. But anyway, you can get access to all of the different content, some incredible sessions, the keynote, and an opportunity to watch the session that I did. But I wanted to share one small part of the session that I taught on the Saturday at Evocation. So I'm going to read just a quick excerpt from part of that session. It says, I live an hour away from Kitchener-Waterloo. Now, aside from being home to one of my favorite restaurants, Moose Winooski's, my family loves going to Moose Winooski's. They've got an amazing gluten-free menu, which is great when you have two people in the house who have celiac disease. It's also the city where I go to buy crawfish. Lots of times you guys see me posting pictures of my crawfish boils, Coddles Catch. Thank you for having my crawfish. That's where I go to do that. But the area is also home to a once legendary company, and that company was Research in Motion. Now, if you don't recognize that name, you might recognize the name BlackBerry. So the story of BlackBerry goes a little something like this. The journey began in 1984. They started as a wireless technology company with a focus on pagers and modems. Now, the first BlackBerry phone, it was the 5810, was released in March of 2002, and it was the first device of its kind to offer the functionality of a mobile phone along with secure email and an actual keyboard. Now, where are my BlackBerry people at? If you carried a BlackBerry at some point in time, give me a thumbs up in the chat. I want to know. I loved my BlackBerries when I had them. BlackBerry became the dominant phone for business. So by 2008, BlackBerry was literally synonymous with mobile phones. They had over 20 million users in the United States, including their most famous one. Maybe you've heard of him, then President Barack Obama. By 2009, BlackBerry controlled nearly 50% of the US cell market, which is absolutely insane. But by 2009, just 1 year later, Apple and Android were becoming more and more popular. They adapted to a shifting marketplace. They adapted to a shifting consumer base. Touchscreens and apps. These are what users wanted. They wanted bigger touchscreens. They wanted access to more apps. Now, the problem with BlackBerry was not that they stopped innovating. They were actually still an incredibly innovative company. The problem was they stopped acting on that innovation when it mattered the most. BlackBerry got comfortable. Let me repeat this. In 2009, BlackBerry controlled nearly 50% of the US cellular market. By 2013, BlackBerry held less than 1% of the cell phone market. By 2016, they were no longer producing cell phones at all. The reason why I shared this story was because it speaks to something that I see with voice actors on an ongoing basis. And it's a lesson that I learned myself the hard way a number of years ago. I do work with a lot of new voice actors who are growing their business, and it's one of favorite aspects of my job, helping people to think like a business owner, to think like a VOpreneur, to grow their business in the right way. But I also work with a lot of voice actors who have had a successful business, but inadvertently let that business slide. The reason why is complacency. Complacency is the one word that will kill a voiceover business faster than anything else. When you get to where you want to go, you get busy. You've got auditions coming in from casting sites. You've got auditions coming in from agents. You've got bookings coming in from your clients. You're trying to do social media. You're doing all of these different things. What's the very first thing that you stop doing when you get busy? More often than not, the very first thing that voice actors stop doing when they get busy are all the things that got them to where they got to be in the first place. We stop the marketing. We stop the emailing. We stop the social media. I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to do that. I don't have time to do the other thing. And you can get away with that for a little while. You can get away with that because you've got enough of a client base. But there comes a point where that client base starts to fade away. Clients come and go. And if you are not doing all of the things that got you there in the first place, then you run the risk that complacency is going to be the thing that sinks your business. Don't allow yourself to become complacent. Don't stop doing the things that got you to where you wanted to be in the first place. You don't have to market at the same scale as you did in the beginning, but you've still got to market. There's always got to be fresh leads coming into the pipeline. Otherwise, you will find yourself in a position where your business went like this and like this and like this, and then it went like this, and then it was like this for a while, and then it starts to go like that. You don't want it to go like that. So that's what I wanted to share. Just one small clip of part of what I talked about at Evocation. Again, if you're interested in picking up a replay class, catching the keynote, like I said, you'll see a very, very, very different side of Marc Scott if you have the opportunity to go back and watch that keynote. You can pick up those replay tickets at vocationconference.com, and I believe that the replay is available until the end of October if you want to check that out. All right, so what can I do for you on Free Advice Friday? I am here to answer your voiceover business and marketing questions. So if there are things that you would like to know, this is your opportunity to ask. So what you can do is type a Q beside your question when you put it in the comments. That way it pops out for me. It's a little bit easier for me to see on the screen. And I am happy to answer as many questions as I possibly can. So let's go. What do you want to talk about? Don't be shy. This is your opportunity on Free Advice Friday, or we can just relive the glory days of the BlackBerry because, man, some of those BlackBerries were pretty cool. I was also a Palm guy. I actually ended up becoming a Palm guy for a while before I became an iPhone guy. Remember a guy in Survivor pretended he had a BlackBerry and pretended to type on a piece of bark. That's what happens. You get so addicted that you can't even help yourself anymore, and you're just sitting there, just gotta get the thumbs going. So bad. We're so addicted. It's a terrible thing. Thank you, Mark, for providing us all with greatly insightful knowledge on the craft of voiceover. Great listen, great chat. Okay, I'm done now. Thank you. Well, I appreciate that, Dale. Thank you very much. Thanks for stopping by on Free Advice Friday. Who else is here? Brian, great to have you here. Bill, good to see you here. You giving me the thumbs up on the Blackberries. I appreciate that you guys had those as well. We're dating ourselves a little bit now. It's hard to think about. There was a movie that came out about BlackBerry last year. Brilliant movie. I don't know how factually accurate it was, but if it was even remotely factually accurate, what a fascinating story on the rise and fall of BlackBerry. Definitely some business lessons to learn watching that one. So what can I do for you guys today? What can I help you with on Free Advice Friday? What questions do you have that you would like to ask and get answered? I am certainly here to answer as many questions as I can. So if you've got one, feel free to type it in the comments. Anything that you want to talk about on the business and marketing side of voiceover, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Bill, they didn't call them crackberries for nothing. It's true. But now we're just as addicted to iPhones and Androids, and we just can't come up with as cool a name as Crackberry. The branding isn't there. The opportunity for the branding isn't there like that anyway. Let me remind you, while you guys are coming up with your questions, new episode of the podcast is out. I got to tell you, improv makes me freak out. I am not comfortable with the idea of improv whatsoever. I am way too introverted and straight-laced for improv. It scares me. But having this conversation with Rebecca Haugh was incredibly insightful. I learned a ton. And she makes a very, very, very compelling case for why you might want to consider improv as part of your training as you build your voiceover business. So if you haven't had a chance to do it yet, that episode is available right here on the YouTube channel. Go check it out after the live stream. It's also available wherever fine podcasts are given away for free. Apple Podcasts and Spotify and all of those different places. And of course, it's available at VOpreneur.com. But it is one that is absolutely worth listening to. Joshua says, how much time do you put into researching potential clients before reaching out? A couple minutes. At most, a couple minutes. The reason for that is I could certainly sit down and research potential clients. I could spend an hour researching every client that I'm thinking about reaching out to and thinking that I might be interested in working with or having the opportunity to work with. But that is not scalable. The reality is that when we are doing this, particularly when you're in the early stages of your business and you're trying to grow a sustainable business, you have to reach more people. You have to reach out to more people. Otherwise, it's going to take you a really long time to get to where you want to go. And so how do we make this scalable? Part of how we make this scalable is by limiting the amount of time that we're spending reaching out to each individual contact. In the introductory email workshops that I teach, I just taught 2 of them here in September. I actually have an exercise where I set a 5-minute timer for the people who are doing the session with me. I give them a 5-minute timer to write their email. Now, it stresses people out completely, but it also proves to them that it's possible to do it. So a quick glance through a website will tell you a lot of things about a potential client. A quick glance through a website will tell you whether or not they use voiceover by looking at their portfolio, listening to the videos in their portfolio and hearing whether or not there's voiceover, or going to their services page and listening on their services page or looking at the listings on their services page and seeing whether or not they specifically talk about voiceover. So you could certainly research that way. You can get to know a little bit about a client simply by the types of work that they do, the people that they've worked with, the number of projects that they've worked on. You can get a better insight into a client by the copy that they share on their website. Just like we want to put copy on our website that lets people know what we do and what it's like to work with us and what services we offer, we can learn the same thing from the copy on a production company's website. And so in just a couple of minutes, you can very easily find a number of different things that you can mention and things that you could use to reach out and make a more personalized email. One guru says, don't bother putting all of the leads info into a CRM. If they respond, then proceed. Seems to me one wants it in the CRM so one can follow up. Seems unlikely to be successful. Second part of the question, seems that it would take more than 5 minutes to type their info into CRMs. Thoughts? Okay. I think part of the answer to this question depends on what you're including in your CRM. How much information are you actually putting in the CRM? If you are using Nimble, which is the CRM that I use, and you're using the Nimble Prospector will actually auto-populate a bunch of information for you depending on what information is readily available on the internet. But for me, I'm not putting a ton of information into the CRM anyway, at least not initially. I need their name, I need their job title, I need their company, I need their company website. Ideally, I'd like to find a couple of social media profiles, but at the very least, I want to find their LinkedIn. I need to add the tags that I want. So is this an e-learning person? Is this a corporate? Is this an animation? Whatever. So I tag them. And then I fill out, in Nimble, they're called the additional lead fields. And so those are lead type. What kind of lead is this? Lead status. What is the current status of this lead? And lead source. Where did this lead come from? So those are the only things that I'm filling out initially. I'm not as worried about getting their address and their phone number and all of that sort of stuff because they're things that I'm very seldom going to use. Where I need to have their address and their phone number is when I go to fill out the first invoice. I can go and get that information at the time that I go out and book the first job and need to fill out the first invoice. So I don't know, what guru you're speaking to or specifically what aspects of CRM they're talking about. I certainly am not filling out the whole entire thing initially. I'm just getting the information that I need in order to establish the connection and maintain the connection. So name, email address, a couple of social media profiles, and then a few different criteria that I use for sorting my database and being able to do targeted marketing based on the types of people that I want to reach out to in a given day. And then, some of the other stuff, if I decide I need it down the road, I can always fill it in later. Now, I will also keep notes. So if I do have a conversation with somebody and we talk about something in particular, or I find out that they like a particular sports team, or they like a particular food, or they love to travel to a particular place, or whatever, if I can find out little things like that along the way, or they reveal certain aspects of themselves and their personality to me along the way, I might make those notes in my CRM as well, just so I've got something that I can always refer back to. But I think that gives me enough to get going. So Tim, I don't know if that specifically answers your question. If there's anything else you want to get into deeper on that, certainly feel free to put a question in, and we're happy to expand on that a little bit further. Paul says, I let my business slide because of a couple of deaths in the family. Well, I think that's a legitimate reason. I'm going to your marketing course, Mark. Do you have any new pointers? You're certainly welcome to go back and watch Playbook. I know you purchased Playbook in the past, so you're certainly welcome to go back. You always have access to that. Playbook 3.0 is the current version of the course. So if you want to go back and you just got to have that little bit of a refresher just to get your spark again, or maybe you've got to remind yourself of your why. And I think that's a really important aspect of this as well. Why do you want to do this? What was the thing that compelled you to do it in the first place? What was the thing that got you excited about voiceover? Focus on that. What's one goal that you can work towards? Think about that. Most people don't get excited about sending emails. Most people don't get excited about new LinkedIn connection requests. Most people don't get excited about having to come up with another post for Instagram. And these are the things that we need to do in order to grow our business and expand our network. But they're not the thing that gets us excited. They're not the thing that motivates us. So what you have to ask yourself is, what is the thing that motivates me? What is one goal that you could focus on? Think about that thing. One of the examples that I've shared in the past was my wife and I blew up our kitchen in January of 2020. Okay? We did not know there was going to be a global pandemic when we blew up our kitchen. So we blew up our kitchen at the end of January and started working on some of the renovations, and then the entire world shut down. We lived with the half of the main floor of our house was subfloor and studs. Like, we had no floors, we had no drywall, we had no electrical, we had no appliances, we had nothing. My motivator in 2020 was that we were going to do this kitchen renovation and that I was going to pay cash for it. I wasn't going to roll it into my mortgage. I wasn't going to add it to a line of credit. We were going to do this kitchen renovation and I was going to pay cash for it. I had a board that hung on the wall in my office. And on that board, I had pictures of the 3D renderings that we had got from the cabinet maker. I had pictures of all of the appliances that we wanted to put into our kitchen. I had quotes from the different people that were going to be doing different aspects of the kitchen. I did a lot of the work myself, but I had all of these things hanging on the wall in my office. And every day when I came into the studio, I saw those renderings of the new kitchen. I saw those new appliances that we were going to have. That was my motivator. That's what got me into the studio every single day to do the thing. It wasn't jumping out of bed, running downstairs and thinking about marketing. It was jumping out of bed, running downstairs and thinking about how amazing it was going to be to prepare a meal for my family in my new kitchen. So I found a why and I leaned into that why, and that why is the thing that motivated me to do the thing. So my question is, what is your why? Maybe that's the thing that you have to find in order to help get you back on track again. I know you've used LinkedIn advertising before. Was it a simple process? Did you have to create a commercial or just use image advertising? And most importantly, how was or is the ROI? So yes, I have done LinkedIn advertising in the past. From a voiceover standpoint, so coaching aside, from a voiceover standpoint, I have personally found LinkedIn advertising to be the best for me. I had better luck with LinkedIn advertising for voiceover than I did on Facebook ads, than I did on Instagram ads, and than I did on Twitter ads. It was Twitter at the time. So I've run ads across all the different social media platforms. I definitely found LinkedIn was the best. And I think part of the reason why LinkedIn was the best is because LinkedIn allows you to get really targeted. So if you want to do a campaign for e-learning, for example, you can literally target that ad to instructional designers and e-learning developers. You can target by job title. And so that allows you to build out a very specific audience. I was able to do that, and I did find that it was absolutely worth it. And I've spent thousands of dollars on LinkedIn ads in the last few years and don't regret a single dime that I have spent because I've always found that there was a positive ROI from it. For me, I'm not sure what the rules are in the United States, but in Canada, you have to spend a minimum of $10 a day. So I would run campaigns for 30 days, $10 a day. So for $300, I had a 24/7 ad running on LinkedIn for an entire month. I need one job to come from that. One job to come from that. And I'm already in profit. And so I can say that it has definitely been worth it for me. And it is something that I will continue to do in the past. It's not super complicated to set up. You do have to have a LinkedIn company page. You cannot run ads from your profile. So you have to have a LinkedIn company page. That's something to think about. You can run video ads. I ran ads that were basic video versions of my demo, but you can absolutely run an image ad as well. So there's a lot of different options. LinkedIn is actually a very versatile advertising platform. Continuing on with LinkedIn, Josh says, do you feel that LinkedIn Pro is worth it or perhaps even necessary? I can tell you from my experience, I have never used anything beyond the free LinkedIn. I've never needed to. I have been able to find enough workarounds for some of the limitations of the free LinkedIn that I've never had to do a premium LinkedIn membership. I do know some voice actors who use it, and some of them have had a great deal of success with it. Some of them ultimately didn't feel that it was worth it. I think a lot of it depends on how you're using LinkedIn and how much you're going to put into LinkedIn. If LinkedIn is going to be your main primary source of marketing and you're going to spend a couple hours there every single day deep diving, sending connections, doing strategic searches, reaching out to as many people as possible, wanting the ability to do in-mail to people who you aren't connected with, getting access to the AI tools to help you with content creation, all that sort of stuff, then maybe there's a use case to be made for premium LinkedIn for you. I would say from my experience, though, for the vast majority of voice actors, you can do enough with the free LinkedIn profile to make it worth your while and keep you busy. Good question. Best practices for those 2 to 3 times a year follow-up emails to past clients and warm leads. So I'm actually trying to reach out to my clients monthly. Doesn't always happen, but my goal is always to get in front of my clients on a monthly basis. Now, I will say that doesn't exclusively happen via email. That's part of my social media strategy as well. So when I get connected with my clients and my prospects on social media platforms like LinkedIn, my hope is that they're going to see some of the content that I'm sharing. And so every time they see some of the content that I'm sharing, that brings me top of mind with them as well. The biggest thing for me when I'm getting into somebody's inbox is this email adding value? So if I am just sending an email that says, hey, it's been a while, do you have any work for me? That is not adding value. So what can I send them that can add value? If I listen to a lot of podcasts. So let's say that I listen to an episode, and I've done this before. Let's say that I listen to an episode that talks about, 5 different trends for video production in 2024. That's an episode that some of the people in my network might find interesting. So that might be an opportunity. Hey, Bob, been a while since we last connected. Just wanted to check in, see how you're doing. I listened to this podcast about 5 different trends in video production for 2024, and it made me think of you. Maybe there's a tip or two in here that will help you. Here's the link. It could be that easy. How do you add value? That is the question. How do you add value? Guys, if you'll allow me a moment, I want to mention VoiceOver Marketing Playbook is coming back on October the 1st. So next week, Playbook is going to be back. This is the final time that Playbook will be available in 2024. This is a step-by-step, easy-to-follow marketing course that is going to teach you how to find your own leads, build your own client base, and become the consistently working voice actor that you want to be. It is about an 8-hour deep dive video class. You can watch it at your leisure. You can watch the videos as many times as you want. You can watch them whenever you would like. It's not a class where you have to sit down and we do a bunch of group sessions or whatever. Completely a learn at your leisure class. So I'm also not a big fan of fluff and rah-rah. Yeah, there's always going to be a little bit of motivation and encouragement, but what I really think you need and what I think most voice actors want is strategies and tactics. Tell me what to do. Tell me what to say. Tell me who to say it to. Tell me how to find them. That sort of stuff. That is what Playbook is filled with. So there are other courses out there that tell you, well, I'll give you 100 hours of content. What the crap are you going to do with 100 hours of content? Who has time to sit down and watch 100 hours of content? So I'm going to give you 8 hours of the most important stuff that you need to know, condensed it down from, a decade's worth of marketing experience, education, learning, mistakes. I made all the mistakes. So that's what you're going to find with Playbook. So the website, if you are interested in checking it out, is voiceovermarketingplaybook.com. What I can tell you is if you go to the website right now, sign up for the wait list. On that wait list, you will get access to an exclusive pre-sale offer. So that pre-sale offer is going to be released on September 30th. The only way to get access to the pre-sale is to be on the wait list. And what I can tell you is that there are some major bonuses that will be offered on the pre-sale. Like Playbook Complete is a $997 course. If you buy Playbook Complete on the pre-sale day, you're going to get over $1,100 in additional value for free. So you might want to get on the wait list if you're interested in Playbook. And again, you can do that by heading over to voiceovermarketingplaybook.com. Okay, let's see. Where are we going? Is there a way to add an auto signature to LinkedIn messages? Not that I know of in the free. There might be a way in the premium. I'm not 100% sure about that though. Dallas says, finally started marketing next week. Demo's done. Finalizing website this week, etc. Any insights to keep in mind? Marketing end of the year during the holidays. I imagine it'll be slower. Actually, Dallas, what you will probably find is right now is a very good time for voiceover. Generally speaking, coming into the fall, things are usually pretty busy. And part of the reason for that is you've got the holidays, which obviously a lot of people are creating content for. You've got people who are getting ready to take time off for the holidays. So they're trying to get things done before they take off for the holidays. You've got end of year for anybody that's running a fiscal year that ends at in December. Companies that are trying to use up budgets, for example. And so generally speaking, I find that, September, October, November tends to be a busier time of year. Yeah, December maybe slows down a little bit, but then the flip side of that is, where are you marketing? So I will market myself in places where they don't shut down for Christmas and celebrate Christmas, because not every country in the world celebrates Christmas. And some of those places are still working and still producing voiceovers. And so I definitely think there's always opportunities. Don't let the holidays be the thing that stops you from doing your marketing. You got brand new demos, a brand new website. Be excited about them. Get them out there. Get them out there. I am talking to more and more voice actors in the last couple of weeks who are starting to feel really encouraged. Things were pretty slow over the summer for a lot of people, but things seem to be starting to pick up now in some different areas. I can tell you myself, I'm seeing more auditions from my agents in the last couple of weeks than I've seen mostly through the summer. Some clients that I haven't heard from in a while have started reaching out again, which has been fantastic. So I think things are starting to pick up a little bit. I think a lot of people have been on edge about the economy. A lot of companies have been on edge about the economy, whether or not we're going to go into a recession. That threat is still kind of lingering in the air a little bit. Today's inflation numbers were great. They were lower than expected, which is positive. The Fed has started lowering interest rates, which is very, very positive. Businesses tend to be willing to spend a little bit more money, invest a little bit more money when the interest rates are lower. So all of those things are potentially good indicators. And it seems like voiceover is starting to pick up a little bit. So I would certainly say, do the thing. Send those emails. If you've got a question that you would like to ask or get answered on Free Advice Friday, this is your opportunity to do that. If you would just do me a favor, put a Q beside your question. When you type it into the chat, it pops out on my screen. It makes it a little bit easier for me to find as I go through the chat. Don't be shy. I'm happy to answer as many questions as I can get to. Hang out till about 2 o'clock, so we still got about half an hour left. I would also say if you are enjoying the live stream, if I've answered one of your questions, if I've given advice that you thought was helpful, I would certainly appreciate it if you would hit that like button. That will help me to get a little bit more love from the YouTube algorithm, and also make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. Subscribing makes sure that you will always get notified anytime that I go live or new content is being posted. Let's see. What else can we talk about? This week, I started putting together my wish list for the 12 voiceover gifts of Christmas. For those of you that are not familiar with the 12 voiceover gifts of Christmas, maybe you haven't heard about it before, maybe you're new in the industry, or maybe you're new to me and what I do. The 12 voiceover gifts of Christmas is my annual Christmas contest that I run, and it's a kind of a big deal. We give away a lot of free stuff for the 12 voiceover gifts of Christmas. So I reach out to all the different amazing people who are in my network, and I just ask them very politely, would you like to donate something to the 12 voiceover gifts of Christmas? So we have 12 days, 12 main prizes, and then we always end up with tons and tons of bonus prizes as well. Last year, let's see, 2023, let me pull up my list. Last year, we had $24,322 worth of prizes awarded to 67 different winners. So over $24,000 worth of prizes given away. So I have started putting together the wish list for the 12 voiceover gifts of Christmas, because that is something, it takes a lot to put that contest together. All the people that I've got to reach out to, confirm, get their prizes, build websites, put together emails, make videos, all that sort of stuff. And so I'm actually a little bit late to the party on the 12 voiceover gifts of Christmas this year, but we are getting closer. We are getting closer for sure. And so keep an eye out for that. Obviously, the details on that will be released a little bit closer to Christmas, but every once in a while I start dropping hints along the way as I start to confirm some people, and something that we have a lot of fun with. But that's one of the things that I have been working on this week. Very excited to be doing that again this year, provided, of course, that I can find enough Santa's helpers to make it possible again this year. I don't think that'll be a problem, but I don't want to assume anything. All right, what can I answer for you? What questions do you have for Free Advice Friday? This is your opportunity to get free advice on any voiceover business and marketing questions that you may be looking to get an answer to. Think of it almost like a free coaching session. Where else are you going to get this? Do you think LinkedIn verification system is important? Should I do it? So the LinkedIn verification system requires you to have a clear membership, which, I mean, how many people actually have that? How many voice actors actually have that? So, I mean, I went through and did the TSA Pre and Nexus, and I actually have a visa for working in the United States, but I've never done Clear. I know LinkedIn is pushing it really hard right now. Every time I think I sign into the platform, they pop up with another message. They're trying to encourage it. I have not seen a lot of adoption of it. I mean, I've got 7,000 some odd followers on my LinkedIn, and I look at people's profiles and I don't see a ton of people that are actually doing it right now. So at this point, I don't see that LinkedIn is going to punish you in any way if you haven't done it. I think it's just something that they're trying to encourage. Maybe they have a partnership with Clear. I don't know. Maybe they're getting a kickback every time somebody comes from LinkedIn and signs up. It's not something that I'm thinking about at this point. Some prizes are yet to be claimed. Look, Brad, all you got to do is come to Canada, buddy. Just come here before the new vegan law passes. Otherwise, we're going to have vegan ribs. I don't even know what vegan ribs would be, but you better get up here before that law passes. What else can I answer for you guys? Who else has a question for Free Advice Friday? Or are you good? You have all the answers. And you're just like, Mark, if you would just get off YouTube, I could actually go and do my marketing. And I mean, that's always an option too. Hey, Mark, question. What are the different types of deductible expenses for Canadians like us? All right. Well, I will preface this by saying I am not an accountant. This is not accountant or financial advice. However, just about anything that you use for your business, it's entirely possible that it can be claimed. Again, always consult with your accountant. But there's the obvious ones. Your computer, all your computer-related equipment, bought a new mouse, bought a new keyboard. Your cell phone. If you buy a new cell phone, potentially, your cell phone bill. Percentage of that, at the very least. Anything that you have in your studio. Bought a new microphone, bought a new interface, bought a new XLR cable. So think about all of those technical sorts of things. Subscriptions. If you have a subscription to Adobe Audition, or if you have a subscription to Source Connect, if you have a subscription to Voice123 or Voices.com or Bidalgo or any of those other types of casting sites, any of those subscriptions. If you have signed up for a subscription for any of the verified profiles, so Meta Verified, X Verified, LinkedIn Premium, things of that nature, anything like that that you are subscribed to or using for your business. If you decided that you wanted to run LinkedIn or Facebook or X ads or anything like that, advertising expenses could certainly be part of the write-off for your business. In some instances, you can write off a percentage of your rent. You can write off a percentage of your insurance. You could write off a percentage of if you're operating a home studio, you could potentially write off a percentage of your electric, a percentage of your gas, a percentage of your water. So all of those sorts of things. If you have a vehicle, you could write off a percentage of your vehicle potentially, and you can certainly write off mileage if you have to do driving. And don't just think about, I have to do driving to go to a studio. Think about, I drove to Staples to buy printer cartridges. You can write off the mileage for driving to Staples to buy printer cartridges, and you can write off the printer cartridges. So it's all of those sorts of things. And what I would say is a good accountant will pay for themselves multiple times over in what they will save you, because they will be able to guide you towards all of those different things that you are ultimately able to write off. This pen, write off. This planner, write off. This phone, write off. Let's see, what else do I have in here? This lightning cable, write off. This Stream Deck, this way, write off. So all kinds of things. The desk lamp, that's a write off. My speakers, that's a write off. So all the software that I'm using for this live stream right now is a write-off. So anything that you are using in any capacity for your business has the potential to be a write-off. Brad just mentioned a really good one too. He mentioned about your PayPal fees. So merchant account fees. So if you are using PayPal and you have to pay a percentage to PayPal, those are tax deductible. If you're using a service like Stripe, and you pay a percentage for the credit card processing, those are merchant account fees. Those are deductible. So those are all, there's so many different things that you could possibly be thinking about. So don't miss especially if you are in Canada. Do not miss the tax write-offs because we pay taxes up the wazoo here. And our tax code is not nearly as friendly as the US in some instances towards business. So find every write-off that you could possibly find. Did you meet a client for lunch? That's a write-off. Did you go to VO Atlanta? That's a write-off. And when you went to VO Atlanta, did you fly? Write-off. Hotel, write-off. Meals, write-off. X sessions, write-off. Conference registration, write-off. All of these sorts of things are things that you can potentially use to help bring down the tax burden. So again, have a conversation with an accountant. I am not an accountant. This is not financial advice. YouTube, I gave a disclaimer. Thank you. But good question, Tracy, because it really does matter. Those are things that make a difference. And that's part of thinking like a VOpreneur. A lot of voice actors don't realize in the beginning the amount of stuff that they're spending money on that they could be writing off. If you've done coaching, write off. Demos, write off. Pay for a new website, write off. So all of those things that you're doing in the beginning, Gravy for the Brain, write off. VO Peeps, write off. GVAA membership, write off. All of these types of things. You can spend $15,000 or $20,000 very easily starting up a voiceover business, but you should be able to claim the vast majority of that. And again, tax laws vary from country to country, province to province, state to state. So that's why you've got to have an accountant, a good accountant. Do you need a voiceover specific accountant? No, I don't think that you need a voiceover specific accountant, but you should at the very least. Now, if you can get one, great, by the way, but at the very least, I would want an accountant who is familiar with small business. Barbecue sauce write-off. I make my own barbecue sauce, so I don't know. I guess I could probably write off. Maybe I should. When you come over, finally, I will write off the barbecue sauce that I made because we'll sit and eat ribs and talk about voiceover. And so then I'll write off my ribs and my barbecue sauce. But you got to come here first, buddy. I don't understand. It's almost like you don't want my ribs. Like I'm kind of starting to take it a little personal at this point. That was like 4 years ago and you never even showed up. Like that's just harsh, man. It's rude. Hurts my feelings a little bit. All right. What else can I answer for you guys? Again, if you're enjoying Free Advice Friday, please do me a favor and hit that like button. Marlon says, what should I do? I don't have much money for coaching at the moment. How should I start? The struggle is real and I understand it and I appreciate it. So what I would suggest to you, my friend, is, hang on, I'm going to get a link for you. I'm going to give you a link. I'm going to put it in the chat. If you haven't done it already, when you are starting out and you don't have a lot of money to invest, I think that a service like Gravy for the Brain is one of the best ways to get the most bang for your buck. Because Gravy for the Brain, for a relatively small monthly fee, gives you access to, I don't even know, hundreds, probably thousands of hours of content at this point. All good content, all valuable content, and all content from reputable people within the industry. One of the hardest things to figure out when you're getting started is, who do I trust? Who can I trust? There are a lot of people that are out there that are positioning themselves as experts, and, guys from Canada doing live streams on YouTube. And how do you know whether or not he's legit or they're legit or she's legit or whatever? And it can be really hard to figure it out. And it can be very risky because sometimes people give a lot of money to the wrong people and that sets them off in the wrong direction. I am a big fan of Gravy for the Brain because I know that they are a reputable organization. I know that they only work with reputable coaches. And so I think that it is a really great way to get exposure to a ton of voiceover stuff, from setting up your studio to webinars on every different genre of voiceover, learning about demos, learning about websites, learning about marketing, all of these sorts of things. So it can be a really great way to explore everything. It can be a really great way to get a macro immersive education. But at the same time, as you are going through that process, you're starting to get a sense of, I think I'm really interested in this genre, or I think I'd really like to have the opportunity to work with this coach. I like their style, or I like the vibe they give off, or whatever. And so if you don't have a lot of money to spend up front, I think something like Gravy for the Brain can be one of the places where you can absolutely get the most bang for your buck. Now, full disclosure, that is an affiliate link that I shared for Gravy for the Brain. But I genuinely support everything that they do. And I have done sessions for Gravy for the Brain in the past. And so I will not promote an organization unless I have personal experience with an organization, and I will not put my reputation on the line unless I have personal experience with a coach or an organization or whatever. And I have no problem giving an endorsement to Gravy for the Brain. So that would be something that you might want to look into, Marlon. I hope that helps you. All right. Gravy for the Brain is my go-to resource for rates, and Bev is associated with them in Canada. Yep. A lot of people don't realize that Gravy for the Brain does have a rate guide as well. Everybody talks about the GVAA rate guide. Gravy for the Brain has a really great rate guide. It's actually rates.gravyforthebrain.com. And one of the things that I like about their rate guide is that they have rate guides for different countries. GVAA is a little bit misleading in that it's the Global Voice Acting Academy, but their rate guide, which is one of the best resources the industry has ever given us, to be clear, but their rate guide is very much a US-based rate guide for US-based voiceover work. And so those rates don't always apply if you're working in other countries, if you're working in Canada or working in Europe or other places overseas or whatever. And so having access to Gravy for the Brain and some of the other rate guides from some of the other different countries can actually be very helpful, very insightful. All right. What else? What can I answer for you? Again, for those of you jumping in late, just a reminder, Voiceover Marketing Playbook is back on October the 1st. One of the things that is misunderstood sometimes about the course is it's available from October 1st to the 8th. So does that mean that I have to take it between October 1st and 8th? Absolutely not. Sign up for it between October 1st and 8th. Once you have access, you will always have access. You can watch the videos whenever you would like. You can watch the videos as often as you would like. So 8 hours of just step-by-step, easy-to-follow marketing course. That's the playbook. It is what the title says that it is. What time is it? 1:47 p.m. on the East Coast. Oh, man, I feel like I should give a weather report now, and then I could flash back to my radio days. Let's see. 1:47, 23 degrees, a little bit cloudy out today. It looks like there's a possibility of some showers over the weekend, 22, and maybe some rain for tomorrow, and overcast and 23 on Sunday. And all of my American friends are like, what the heck is he talking about? Okay, let's see. 23. So, let's see. The 20 times about 246 and add 30. So 76, about 76 Fahrenheit for those of you in the United States. John says, HubSpot free, like it. I do not have a ton of experience with the free HubSpot. Here's what I will tell you about HubSpot. The free HubSpot is a really great resource to get started with the basic CRM if you don't have the ability to do anything else. It is not feature loaded. It's free, but it will get you a level of organization that you are not going to probably be able to get if you are using a spreadsheet or not even using a spreadsheet, for example. The challenge with HubSpot is this. It is an enterprise grade CRM. So when the time comes to upgrade, it is very pricey, like very pricey, and certainly out of the budget, I would say, of most, if not all, professional voice actors. So when you get to a point where you're ready for a more feature-rich CRM, you're probably going to have to transition to a different CRM. It can be done, but it is not easy. So that is what I would say about HubSpot, is just think about future-proofing. there will come a point where you are probably going to need to transition, and making that transition to another CRM, not easy. But the free CRM can certainly get you up and running if you don't have access or an option for anything else at this point. I'm experimenting with branded color electronic mailed discount coupons in my email marketing. Ever heard of people having success with this before? I don't know that I've ever, I guess it depends on what your objective is. If you're discounting your voiceover rates, generally speaking, that's not something that I want to do. I don't really want to discount my voiceover rates. I want to add value in some other way if I can. My concern, and maybe this isn't what you're talking about, so clarify if I'm wrong, but my concern with discounting my voiceover rates, particularly with newer clients, is if I discount my voiceover rates, then I set a dangerous precedent that they might always expect that rate going forward. And then you have to try to undo that precedent down the road. And so that's the one thing that I would be cautious of. Besides your playbook, who would be the best person to hire for marketing? A virtual assistant? Yes, absolutely. You could hire a virtual assistant to help you with some of that stuff. I'm a big fan of VA for VO, the organization VA for VO. I've been a big proponent of theirs, done a couple of webinars for them or with them, which you can find on this YouTube channel if you want to go back and watch. But you can also check out their website. What I love about VA for VO is that they actually use voice actors. And so one of the challenges with hiring an outside party to do your marketing is if they don't understand the industry, or if they don't understand who you're looking for because they're not familiar with the industry, there's much more of a training curve that can be involved. Can you get somebody up to speed? Absolutely. I've done it. But what if you didn't have to? Because what if you were already hiring another voice actor who already knew the job titles to be looking out for and already knew how the industry worked and already knew how to write the email messages and all that sort of stuff? And so that's one of the reasons why I like VA for VO, because I think it gives you a little bit of a head start in that regard. Dean says, once all moving parts are ready to be assembled onto a great launch website, and hints how to build sincere and effective copy for starting that site. So first and foremost, on your website, I need to see your demos. I need to be front and center. I don't want to have to go looking for them. I want them to be downloadable. I know that there's a lot of talk right now about whether or not demos should be downloadable, because what if somebody downloads them and feeds them into the AIs? Well, let me tell you right now, if somebody wants to feed your voiceover into an AI bad enough, they do not need to download your demos to do it. And so rather than not making your demos downloadable because of the fear of what could potentially happen, I would so much rather make my demos downloadable, because that's what a lot of clients want when they visit your website. So demos front and center, make them downloadable. Give me a clear call to action. What is the next step for me to work with you? Contact me is not a call to action. Request a custom quote, request a free audition, book me, send me project details, schedule a Zoom call. All of these things are very clear call to action. So what is the clear call to action? I love to see testimonials whenever possible. I think it's social proof that you can do the thing that you say that you can do. I like to see a summary of, what services are you available for? So I'm available for explainers and e-learnings and commercials and animation or whatever. A little bit of information about your studio, I think, can be very helpful, at the very least, to let me know that you have a professional home studio, that you're available for directed sessions, things of that nature. I think when it comes to your main landing page for your website, less copy is more. We just don't read it anymore. If you want to expand on that, you can use like the hidden read more, how you click the read more and then the text box expands. I think that's okay, because then you can still have the copy there. It still has SEO juice, as it were, but it doesn't feel so overwhelming on the page. So that's something else that I would definitely be thinking about. I know that there's an argument to be made for writing copy in the third person, because writing copy in the third person makes the perception that you are bigger, that you've got somebody that's doing it for you. Some people will say that Google prefers third person copy for SEO purposes, and that's all well and good, but at the end of the day, I'm the brand and you're working with me, and I want to make a personal connection with you. So I've never been a fan of third person copy, but that's just me. We started on free Hubspot and have switched to Nimble. And a lot of people have done that. A lot of people start out there because that's, look, we already talked about the fact that you could easily spend $10,000 or $20,000 when you're starting up. And so the idea of having another monthly subscription in the mix doesn't always appeal to a lot of people. I get that. And so HubSpot can absolutely get you started. But just know that there's probably going to come a point where you're going to grow out of it. And so you have to be prepared to make the switch. That switch can be painful. I'm going to just being honest. Depending on your technical savvy. So for example, I had a session with somebody this week who's making that switch. They're very technically savvy. And so they were able to do it a lot easier than somebody who's not quite as technically savvy. But there are ways that you can make the transition in the event that you need to. What streaming service do you use to go live? You should teach a class on this. I use Ecamm Live. That is the streaming software that I use. I love it. It's kind of like the Mac version of OBS. Some of you have maybe heard of OBS before, but it gives me the ability to do fun things, change scenes, add overlays, all that sort of stuff. So I am a fan of Ecamm Live. If you are a Mac user, and you are going to be doing live streaming, it is so stinking user-friendly. Like, seriously, that is probably one of my favorite things about it. I played around with OBS, and I am not smart enough for OBS. I'm just telling you straight up. I couldn't figure it out. So when I found Ecamm Live and started playing around with it, it's not super cheap, Ecamm Live, but it is super easy. What time is it? 1:56. I could probably take one more question. If I missed your question, I absolutely apologize. Is there a free version of Nimble? There is not a free version of Nimble, but let me put a link in the chat here. If you go to that link, nimble.com/Marc Scott VO, nimble.com/Marc Scott VO. If you go there, you can get a 30-day trial of Nimble. So you can play around with it, decide whether or not it's going to work for you. The monthly price of Nimble, I think if you pay for a year up front, it works out to around $25 a month, I believe. For me, absolutely worth it. For me, it pays for itself. All right, let's see. Anything else? This is the math that I was doing inside of my head. Oh, where did that comment go? I had it. Yes. For those of you that were trying to do the conversion, times it by 2 and add 30. That was the math that you were watching me attempt to do in my head. Because I was talking in Celsius earlier. Why can't we all just get along? Why can't everything just be in Fahrenheit, feet, and inches? When somebody asks me about a centimeter, I just stand there with a blank stare on my face. When I go into IKEA, I get physically angry sometimes. I'm like, oh, what is a centimeter? And so I actually go to IKEA now with a tape measure because I just can't handle it anymore. I don't know what a centimeter is. I don't want to measure in centimeters. I don't want to talk about centimeters. I just want feet and inches. Just give it to me in feet and inches. Why can't the whole world just get along? That's my thoughts on that. There you go. Yes, it's $24.99 a month when you pay yearly and $29.99 a month if you pay month to month. And man, some of the new functionality that has been built into Nimble recently is incredible. Email sequencing is incredible. I've only just begun to start playing around with email sequencing, and I am absolutely in love with all of the things that you can do with email sequencing on Nimble. That, for me alone, is worth the price of admission. Steve says, thoughts of having a picture on your website? This is a really interesting question, and I think you could argue this in a lot of different ways. I think for the most part, people like to be able to associate a face to the name and a face to the voice. And we like to be able to see the people that we're having a conversation with. And so I am a big fan of having a picture on the website because, again, I am the brand I am the one that you are working with. I am the one that you are building the relationship with. And so isn't it nice to be able to, put a face to the voice or put a face to the name? Now, the argument that can be made against it, perfect example, I recently coached with a woman who is probably in her 60s, sounds like she's 10. It's amazing. And so her hesitation of putting her picture on her website is you're going to look at her picture and you're going to think, oh, here's a woman of a certain age. And they might make a judgment call before they even have the opportunity to listen to her demos. Now, would I like to, be all altruistic and believe that we live in a completely, wonderful sunshine and rainbows world where that sort of judgment doesn't happen? Yeah, I would love to think that. I know that's not always the case. So are there instances where maybe you don't include it? I suppose there are instances where maybe you don't include it. I do think that professional headshots and branding photos are far superior. And look, you can get a good picture with your iPhone. You can, but have somebody take it, put a nice background, put a little effort into it, because I do think that even the nature of the photograph itself can speak. I can tell if you just, selfie, right? And it doesn't give off the same professional vibe. If your voice does not even remotely match up to how you look, then maybe you use a logo, or maybe you use a caricature version of yourself. I know some voice actors that have done that before, particularly voice actors in the animation space. But Steve expands on his question here. Is a VO of color interested to know here if having a pic could potentially cause harm to someone to have arrive or jump to a conclusion of my voice print without listening to my demos? So it's what I was just saying. Are there instances where that's possible? Yes. Do I think that is the exception rather than the rule? Probably. Maybe I'm being optimistic. I think the other potential workaround for that, if you're nervous about something like that, have your demos up top and have a picture down lower. So up top frame of your website is your call to action and your demos, your demo player, whatever. Maybe below that, there's a little section that's got your picture and then you're right up beside it. And so then in that case, your demos come first. And that maybe is the workaround for it. If you're nervous about it, that might be the workaround for it. All right, everyone, I got to jump out. I got to get ready for a voiceover session. I got to do some e-learning this afternoon. So thank you for joining for Free Advice Friday. As always, I absolutely appreciate it. Remember, Voiceover Marketing Playbook is back on October the 1st. Head to the website at voiceovermarketingplaybook.com. Jump on the wait list. If you are interested in Playbook, you're going to want to jump on that wait list because there is going to be a crazy good pre-sale offer coming out on September 30th, exclusive to the wait list, that could add up to an $1,100 in additional value to your Playbook package. So get on the wait list if you haven't done it already at voiceovermarketingplaybook.com. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for hanging out for Free Advice Friday. I do hope that I was able to get to all of your questions. If I didn't, I certainly apologize. I try to get to as many questions as I can. I'm grateful for you guys to come and hang out. Hit that like button before you go. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you for hanging out with me as always. And whatever you decide to do this weekend, have fun, stay safe, and go find some leads.